The OWCS is just around the corner, and with it comes all sorts of interesting team combinations that we never would have seen during the OWL and Contender stays. So many interesting teams are being formed behind the scenes right now, and slowly but surely they are starting to be unveiled to the public. Today, we got two bombshell rosters that could be major threats in NA and EU respectively. In NA, the Toronto Defiant make their return to competitive Overwatch with an absolutely ridiculous looking roster on paper, while in EU, we essentially have the London Spitfire, but just not under the C9 org. Let's break down the two teams and what it could mean heading into OWCS. And let's start off with NA and the Toronto Defiant. So, earlier today, Toronto announced that they are making the return to professional Overwatch with a roster consisting of Someone, RuPaul, Vega, Sugarfree, and Merit. Needless to say, a pretty absurd roster on paper. A good mixed one at that. That's going to give them a chance to compete not only at the NA level, but at the global level. They've got a good combination of world champions on their side, and players with a lot of potential that just need the right system to succeed. Right off the bat, you have arguably the best tank player in Overwatch esports as of right now in Someone, or at least he was at the end of OWL, but I'd like to argue he probably still is, for the simple fact that he is absolutely insane at most, if not all, of the tank heroes in the game. That versatility and that ability to always be flexible is going to come in clutch for this Toronto team, making it so you don't even need another tank player on the roster. He is MVP level and a bona fide superstar and a great leader who brings a lot of personality and positivity to any roster. And he's going to be playing alongside a couple of his former teammates, so right off the bat, there's a lot of good synergy going on there. You got RuPaul and you got Merit joining the mix. Two guys who were top level talents at their positions as well in OWL Season 6 and beyond. RuPaul is basically entering the prime of his career after putting himself on the map in OWL 2023. Just an excellent flex support that you can't go wrong with. One of the best Baptiste players in the world, and someone who can keep up on other things, I think, especially if given practice and the right resources. Just a great player that you want on your team. And pairing those guys up with Merit as well, I mean, what else is there to say? Dude just won OWL Grand Finals MVP. He's one of the best hit scan players in the game. While maybe some of his other heroes need some work, like in a dive scenario, overall, he's going to be serviceable in most, if not all, scenarios. Just having that triple threat synergy is great, and then you're pairing them up with a young and upcoming talent like Vega, a main support player who I think is a good change of pace for them. They obviously can only have two Korean players at most on this team because of the rules with participating in a different region, so Chorong was never on the table, but Vega is a good replacement. It's a new guy that gives you life that's been wanting to prove himself. Sometimes this is the type of player that can be the difference maker that pushes you over the top. We've seen his capabilities in Contenders, we saw it during the Winter Flash Ops event as well, on a good team with OWL caliber players. This guy has what it takes to keep up. He has always been an OWL level prospect, and if it weren't for some rule booking that went on behind the scenes mid-season in OWL 2023, we would have seen him on either Toronto or the San Francisco Shock. Coach Kassoras in Toronto had their eye on this dude for a while, so the fact that they can finally make their pairing a reality is really great for both sides, and it makes me think they're going to be cooking up something special. Kassoras sees the potential within him, and pairing him up with superstar veterans like this could be a great combination for success. And you'd have to feel a pretty similar way about Sugarfree. In a lot of people's eyes, he should have been the OWL Rookie of the Year in 2023. Even after years of waiting to turn the proper age to play in the Overwatch League, he's still shown all the skills that you need to be an elite DPS player. And he was on a Vancouver team that was just okay. Imagine what he could do on a team like this, where the skill level is significantly higher, the ceiling is significantly higher. Sugarfree could make some great contributions on a team like this, and we could see him unleash his true potential that we haven't actually seen since like the Atlanta Academy days. He could become a superstar in the OWCS without a doubt. And in general, the synergy I think is going to be popping with this team. Aside from the Florida alumni, you also have to remember that Sugar Free and RuPaul played on Team USA together, as well as in the Flash Ops tournament when they won alongside Vega. There's a lot of good roots going on here, and I think their connections could be beautiful, and they could end up having one of the strongest teams in the OWCS. And aside from the talent standpoint, they're also boasting a major advantage in the sense that they're going to have more resources than a majority of teams that compete. Overactive Media is one of the only big organizations out there that is truly committed to investing in Overwatch esports and their competitive teams. They've got a coach that they're paying in Kasaurus who can give professional help that way. And they're all going to be playing under the same roof together. Even the Korean players. They'll all be living together in an esports facility in downtown Toronto. That's going to be great for practice, playing in the same room together, but also building up their team chemistry and friendships with one another. All of that stuff is very underrated in terms of building a team. And Toronto have all of it. And a majority of teams out there, they're probably not going to have that. Toronto may have been a cursed team in OWL, but you can't deny that in this scenario, in a more open format like this, they have a lot of power. They probably offer the best benefits, if not some of the best, out of any other organization that's going out there to sign a team. I mean, it's probably one of the only guarantees you're going to find in the current system of Overwatch esports. One of the only orgs that's willing to provide major benefits, and maybe even some kind of salary or other contract. Hence why some of the biggest Korean names out there were even willing to leave home to come here. Toronto Defiant might have had the best deal possible in the given state of Overwatch esports, so I'm sure all 5 of these guys are very thrilled to be a part of this org. You're in a really good spot in terms of your environment, and in general, this team could kick some serious butt. They have a lot of potential, they're very dangerous, and I'd expect them to be close to, if not right in, that championship matchup by the time we get to the end of this year. And honestly, I just hope that Toronto Defiant don't mess this up and somehow be mid. With this roster, surely they can't be cursed again, right? Surely this is the year they finally break it. If they lose with this team, Toronto might be the most cursed organization in the history of Overwatch. Jokes and memes aside, this seems like a pretty good team to support. I'm sure they're going to be one of the most popular out there with some of the faces they brought in, and I myself might even go for them if I don't see anything else I like. Surely this team will be a powerhouse in North America, and I look forward to seeing what they can accomplish. And the same could be said for the London Spitfire reunion team out in EMEA. And they're even paying homage to the London Spitfire, calling this team We Spitfire. Shout out to the song they played on loop in the OWL broadcast anytime London was ever mentioned. Regardless though, this team is basically the 2023 Spitfire, but with a better main support, as they're going from Admiral to Funny Astro. They managed to upgrade arguably the weakest part of their team last year with one of the best main supports that the world has to offer. We're talking better overall Lucio play and more experience to add to this team, and they even got Coach Christopher to come back and coach these guys. Literally, if you were a London fan last year, I found your team right here. It is literally the same exact team, but arguably better. There's not much to complain about overall. There will be a bit of a question mark with Landon, since after all, he is American. Seems like he'll likely be playing on ping unless they somehow bring him into EU. But other than that, I'd say that this probably has the makings of one of the best teams in EMEA. The synergy and the coaching is going to be cracked out of its mind, and they'll be a dangerous rush team. They might even be able to abuse their Rhine comps even harder than we saw in OWL, since the level of competition should be lower, and it's less likely they're going to be playing insane, cohesive super teams. I'd be interested to see how it does against a potential Saudi team or any team involving Kevster. It's not like they have all the best players in the world on their team, like in the Flash Ops tournament and everything, but in general, it's going to be hard to crack these guys. Hottie's an absolute freaking mad lad Chad. Backbone is like the best Mei player the game has to offer right now. Sparker's a god tier Sojourn. It's looking like Sojourn's going to be meta. Florida. Landon's one of the best bat players out there, might even be the best. And like I said, Funny Astro's cracked on Lucio. And I'd be especially excited for Astro, as his beat timings are a lot better than Admiral. He's less susceptible to those big mistakes. And I just think that he's going to go out there and play extra hard and be extra motivated after dealing with the Gladiator situation last year and being under bad coaching. His head's going to be in a better place, and I think he'll do whatever it takes to win. And I mean, just knowing EU and how they love playing Rush and they don't care for Dive, I think that this is a great place for this new London team to be, if that's what you want to call them. It suits them. They're going to have the advantage since everybody likes to play the same over there. Now, there's no guarantee and things can change, but even if they do, they still should be relatively strong, just knowing their synergy and all of the great players they have. Both Spitfire and Toronto Defiant have the blueprint for something special this year, and I think we can all say that we're looking forward to watching these guys take the stage once again later this year in March. And I'd love to know what you think about these teams and some of the other ones potentially forming down in the comments below. Let me know all your thoughts. And of course, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of the most recent roster news for OWCS. And until the next video, I'm out of here. Peace.